Professor Chellaney, how do you weigh in on the point that Zaka is making? Because remember, I'm sorry to in fact remind our viewers again and again, but it is important to talk about how the naval drills between Russia and China have already started yesterday itself. Their naval fleets are very much in the Sea of Japan as we talk, and that is something we cannot in fact discount, because as Zaka has been talking about, there is Chinese coercion, and it's not just directed towards Taiwan. You have it being directed towards even the Philippines. And is it time to now involve all these countries in the Quad as well?
Well, not in the Quad, but the Quad has to play a meaningful role in the Indo-Pacific region in order to counter China's, what Zaka calls, hegemonic behavior. The problem is this: because Biden cannot risk antagonizing China at this juncture, he does not want China to cement an anti-US strategic alliance with Moscow. He does not want China to aid Russia's war machine. With those objectives in mind, Biden is seeking to placate China. He's seeking to mollify China. But placating China and strengthening the Quad are basically incompatible. Today, the Quad seems adrift. And under Biden's leadership, in an effort to mollify China, the Quad's agenda has shifted from a strategic focus on the Indo-Pacific to global challenges. For example, climate change, cybersecurity, health security, vaccines, outer space. These subjects cannot be dealt with. They cannot be addressed by a four-member grouping. The Quad is only a grouping of just 4 democracies. That's in no position to deal with universal challenges. So today the Quad faces a crisis. It's adrift. And the choice before the Quad is this: either refocus attention squarely on the pressing Indo-Pacific challenges, including the threats to Taiwan, to the Philippines, and also the threat that India faces along the Himalayan frontier.
Professor Chellaney, I'm sorry to interrupt you there, but that also brings the question to my mind: how can Quad as a grouping in fact even alleviate the other burgeoning crisis that the world is currently witnessing, and those are the 2 wars?
Well, I think the US needs to rebalance its strategic priorities. Right now, it's distracted by the wars in Ukraine and the Middle East. It has failed to pivot to the Indo-Pacific. 3 successive American presidents, Obama, Trump, and Biden, pledged to pivot to the Indo-Pacific region. The US has not pivoted to the Indo-Pacific region because under Biden, it is preoccupied with the war in Ukraine. In fact, it's getting more and more involved in the war in Ukraine. And it's also looking overextended because of its involvement in the Middle East conflicts. So it needs to refocus its attention on the Indo-Pacific. And the choice before the Quad is to realize a strategic promise, or gradually drift into irrelevance, or be reduced to a mere instrument of leverage for the US in its relationship with China. And that'll be most unfortunate if the Quad is allowed to drift into irrelevance.